what's going on, LPL and League of Legends fans alike. It is June 6, 2023, and that's it. That's enough of the nice things, because I'm actually confused and angry and mad, and I don't know how Ninjas in Pajamas are going to have their head coach after this game. So remember yesterday how I made a video about Shadow on Ninjas in Pajamas, their jungler, and how he did a really good job setting the tempo for game number 2, and that he really allowed Fotic to carry the game with Yuumi game 2. Okay, well, let's look at today. They're playing another series against Top Esports, a much better team than not only them, but who they played yesterday. And let's look at him here in game 1. Okay, level 2, he's invading the blue buff. Viego versus Wukong. Obviously, Viego has a better early game. And let's look at this. They're fighting over the blue buff. They're fighting. They're good damage. Waiting for the smite. They both have smite. Boom. He smites. He gets the blue buff. Okay. Now it's like he chases Wukong off. Wukong salutes the L. He takes the L and he gets the wolf camp. So Shadow is setting the tempo super early in this game. So now let's pick up with the first dragon. So because of the momentum and the tempo that he's built on top of the enemy jungler, he's now a level ahead. He's got the scuttle and he gets to push him off and get this first dragon. So within the first 10 minutes of the game, Shadow has set the tempo for not only him and the enemy jungler, but look at the difference in CS. That's almost a 20 different CS at 7 minutes into the game. And now let's pick up action at 8 minutes, right? What spawns at 8 minutes? Rift Herald. So at exactly 8 minutes, right when the Rift Herald spawns, Shadow's already in the pit fighting the Rift Herald. Look at the momentum that he has. He has his ultimate. Wukong is still level 5, having to clear his jungle. He gets Rift Herald. So within the first 10 minutes, he has secured better tempo, better pressure throughout the jungle. He's robbed 4 camps from the jungler because he's stolen the bot side twice, and he's gotten the first dragon and Rift Herald. Now we're at the second dragon fight, okay? So Shadow still has Rift Herald. He's going to drop it mid to hopefully potentially pull pressure off of the dragon. But after the first dragon, really all the neutral objectives really start to become team fights oriented, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. But look at what happens. Unfortunately for Shadow, his entire team decides to fight in the other side, like the upper part of the river. I don't really know what happens. Take a look at Thresh. Take a look at this ult. Look at all the attention, and Wukong comes in and he steals it. Now, yes, okay, so that's just one dragon though, and it is only 12 minutes, so it's still pretty early on in the game. It's not that big of a deal, but it is kind of unfortunate if you are Ninjas in Pajamas. And here we'll pick up action at the next dragon, because this is the one that really annoyed me. So let's look. Ninjas in Pajamas are in the pit fighting the dragon. There is nobody on Top Esports who is even close yet. He's already half HP, but watch what happens. For some reason, Thresh, Nico, and Jinx all decide to get out of the pit and go fight Sion outside of behind the pit. So it's just 2 people on NIP in the dragon pit left, and it gets stolen again. That to me is not even close to on Shadow's fault. That's the Thresh. That's whoever made the shot call to come out of the back of the pit to try to fight a tank Sion while you are all 5 members in the pit with the dragon less than half HP. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this. Well, because for some reason, based off of everything I just showed you, someone at Ninjas in Pajamas felt the need to substitute Shadow. They thought that's what the need was, that was the reason that they weren't winning that first game, is because they wanted to sub him out. So they subbed him out for XLB. Now, on XLB, I'm going to say a few things about him, although he is a substitute right now, so it's not very... you really shouldn't talk about the stats because it doesn't really reflect who they are as a player, especially when they're substitute. But the last time these two teams did play, XLB was the jungler, and they did lose the series, and XLB has not won a game as a jungler since March 1st of this year. So it has been a very long time since he's won a single game. It's not as if you're bringing in this dark horse, this great person who this other team has not seen before. They literally played them last season and beat them with him as a jungler. But also, over the last 2 days, and even this first game, Shadow showed that even in underdog situations, because there's no surprise they are the underdog to Top Esports, he can invade, he can get momentum, he can get tempo, he can win the early game for a jungler, he can get the early objectives, he can get Rift Herald right when it spawns up. The first dragon at this game wasn't taken until over 13 minutes after Rift Herald, both of which Top Esports secured. So I don't think changing your jungler was the reason you guys lost that first game. In fact, but I will say changing the jungler for the second game is the reason you lost. It's a much deserved loss if you're going to do something like this. I'm not a big fan of substitutes, as mentioned before, but I just don't really get why this was done. Whew, okay, I am done talking about that. I typically don't like to get angry or talk about coaches in a negative light because I do think they know what's best for their team at any given moment, but I'm really having a hard time understanding why Shadow and only Shadow was subbed out of this game.